Hello, this is Reverend Dr. Anthusa Helena with Soul Light Integrative Medicine. For more detailed information on private sessions and training programs, log on to www.soullight, that's SOLLITE.com. Thank you for joining us today. This is a podcast series entitled Hope and Inspiration Interviews. We have a special guest today, Joan Brooks, who is a healing master for trauma and emotions, as well as other things. She'll explain more in detail as she shares, but specifically her Rubenfeld synergy method, which I know a little about, but I'm sure that she'll give us more detailed information and educate us. And I did talk to her previously, and I think she has a special exercise to share, as well as notice on the title. She's offering a free gift, so you can go to that link and take advantage of that opportunity. So thank you, Joan, for joining us today. I'm very excited to hear what you have to share.
Thank you, Anthusa, and thank you so much for inviting me. I was delighted to get your invitation, especially when you said I'm doing a series of hope and inspiration interviews or podcast. I was moved and touched that you invited me, and the way that we kind of know each other is that we were both had chapters in a book called While We Were Silent.
Correct.
about healing sexual trauma.
Yes.
And so and so that's how that's the connection between us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how you kind of came to ask me to be a part of this interview, of this series.
Yes.
So that our viewers, our listeners have some context for who I am and why I'm even here, I want to tell you just briefly about myself. And I haven't even really thought about what I was going to say. So I think a couple of things. One is, you mentioned the work that I do. It's called the Rubenfeld Synergy Method. And this is a modality that was created back in the 60s by a woman named Ilana Rubenfeld. And there's a long story about how she came to create this incredibly profound and effective healing modality. And I took a workshop with Ilana in 1997, and within the first 15, 20 minutes, I knew that this was the work I was going to do the rest of my life. And I knew at the end of that day-long workshop that I would teach this work, and I do. Right now, I'm the only person in the whole world who is certified, who is licensed to teach the certification training.
Wow, great.
Yeah, and it saved my life. I have had lots of traumas in my life, among them sexual trauma, rapes, multiple rapes in my life. And it wasn't until I started Rubenfeld Synergy Method sessions that I actually started to really heal on a deep level. And so that's kind of how I came here and how I ended up being in the book to begin with, and then sitting here, being able to have this talk with you and for our viewers and listeners to see us.
Sounds like a wonderful method. Please tell me more.
Yeah, thank you. This is Ilana recognized the importance, one, of touch, gentle, respectful, listening touch that accesses the subconscious and unconscious in a very gentle way. The way I put it is, the body knows what is ready to be revealed, The body knows what is ready to be healed, and the body knows how to heal that. So she recognized the importance of combining touch and talk, which was not done then at all. She recognized the importance of combining touches and talk, as well as working with and through the wisdom of the body. Because all of our answers, all of our woundings in here, and all of our healing and answers are in here. And I want to say, this is not self-healing. I don't go off in the corner by myself and do something and get healed. That's not the way this works, because wounding happens in relationship and healing happens in relationship. So the relationship part, being able to create that container of safety and trust, allows my clients to go deeper into their trauma, deeper into their wounds, and deeper into the innate healing that is already in them. So I'm not giving them anything. I'm helping them. I'm teaching them how to access and listen to their body's wisdom, and therefore healing through their body's wisdom.
Yeah, that's a great point. I offer modalities that do the same thing, but the point that you made about the connection and in relationship, I hadn't really thought of that aspect before. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it's not that there aren't things that we can do on our own that's important, because, you know, mostly you're going to see someone once a week, right? So there's all the rest of except that 1 hour, there's all the rest of the time. So there's a lot that we can do and for ourselves, and continue our healing process between sessions. And yet, in my experience and in my training and in my knowledge and in my wisdom, I know that it's really the relationship, Anthusa, because I could have and I am a master at what I do. Don't get me wrong. I am a master at helping people heal with and through their bodies. I'm a master at that. It doesn't matter how good I am if I can't build and create and maintain a relationship of trust and safety. Mm-hmm. Because clients will only go as far as they feel safe enough.
Right. And having that trust, like you said, it's very important, because if the client or patient doesn't have that trust, then they don't feel safe, and then you know, you hit walls where you can't go as deep as you'd like to. And it sounds also that it's a layering effect, like peeling an onion as well.
It's very much like that. And again, because I follow the body, I follow my client's body. My client lets me know, you can go here, but you can't go there. You can go here for now, and I might even take that back. Right. You know, I might even at some point in time say, nope, you're not going there anymore. Right. So, and I trust the body. I trust the body much more than the mind. Anthusa, I have had clients who have experienced incredible sexual trauma, and they come to see me, and I work with the client fully clothed, usually lying on a massage table, but not always. And I always ask for permission before I make contact, because most of my clients have experienced sexual trauma, and they need to have autonomy and authority over their own bodies. And so I can't tell you how many times I've asked, I'd like to make contact at the back of your head and neck. Would that be okay? And they say, oh yeah, Joan, yeah, I trust you. I said, okay, ask your body. Because when we've experienced sexual trauma, our connection with our inner wisdom that lets us know when we can trust and when we can't trust, that often gets distorted. but but the body doesn't. The mind gets it distorted,
right.
but the body. And so many times I'll say, okay, ask your body if it's okay if I make contact here. And surprising number of times the answer is no. No, I don't want you to touch me here. The body is saying this.
Yes.
The mind is saying, yeah, go ahead. I know you. I trust you. You're fine. And the body is saying, no, I don't know you. I met you 15 minutes ago. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's what the body's saying. I don't know you. I don't know if I could trust you.
Yeah. I look at it like the cellular memory. I also agree the body
That's right.
has the wisdom, but and of course our minds can interfere with all that. So definitely listening. And I hear you're saying that you're a very good listener, and that's very important.
Yeah, because I listen with my whole instrument. I listen with my hands.
Yes.
When I'm making contact with someone and they say, oh, yeah, I used to get whippings, but it was no big deal. And the body's going, eek! I hear the eek. Not always the eek, but I hear what's happening in the body, sometimes in a very physical way. Sometimes I have images, or sometimes I literally hear something. And so the body tells the truth. Only the mind can lie. Only this part of our brain is capable of lying. The body is not capable of that. And that's why working with and through the body is so effective and profound. And I want to go back to the hope and inspiration, because that's the hope. That's I have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of clients. I don't keep track. I don't know how many, but literally hundreds. And a good many times in that first session, a client will say, I finally have hope.
Wonderful.
I have hope that I can heal. I have hope that my life doesn't have to be this for the rest of my life.
That's very inspirational.
And that's very inspirational.
Yes.
And that's very inspirational. I had, as I've said, a lot of trauma in my life, a lot of sexual trauma in my life. And I literally felt like this was just it. This is just what my life is. This is what my life is going to be like. There's nothing I can do about it. Just live with it. And I'd been to talk therapy, and that'd been helpful. And I'd been in 12-step groups for decades, and that was helpful. But there was still this underlying, there's nothing, this is hopeless and helpless.
Mm.
And then when I started working with and through the body, then I saw my healing, my innate healing ability. I saw it. I could experience it through a guided facilitation by my practitioner. And that gave me hope. And that's the experience many of my clients have. And that's it. That's what I want to give our viewers, our listeners, is that full recovery is possible. Healing trauma is possible. Deep transformation is possible.
You take them out of that hopeless and helpless state.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or I might get a little better, but really this isn't going to change.
Right. And when you're in that hopeless and helpless state, it's not conducive for healing. So
That's
you do need to switch them. Yeah. Or we need to switch turn on that switch within ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's actually a positive feedback loop, in the terms of, the more I think it, the more it's true. The more I think it, the more it's true. The more I think it and believe it, the more it's true.
Correct.
And so you're right. It's kind of like, as we were talking, I just had this image of starting to turn that the other way, slowly, but to start turning that wheel the other way, or what Alana used to call it, is breaking the patterns.
Right.
Not breaking them, interrupting the patterns.
And in today's world, in psychology at least, it's called neuroplasticity, positive psychology, rewiring the brain. And you're giving our audience the exact example of how that actually happens.
Yeah, Alana's a great believer and proponent of neuroplasticity. She saw that as an underpinning of her work, that's what was happening. She didn't know that's what was happening. She didn't she didn't have that training or that language, but when she read about it, then she knew, oh, this is what is happening,
right,
in the work that I do, that we do.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not rigidly locked in to whatever state we're in, that there's the ability to move that, to transform that.
Thank God for our body's inner wisdom, huh?
Absolutely. Really. Thank God for that.
Yeah. So I just want to reinforce, I'm hearing you also say to the audience that innately we all have this within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And as spiritual human beings, and some people aren't aware of that they have that innate ability, definitely from the divine aspects of ourselves, but we are having a human experience. So I think that's key as well. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. You're welcome. And well, what you said sparked something. Let me go back a moment. Our culture literally tells us we don't.
Oh.
Our culture, our conditioning literally tells us, for one thing, there's the body-mind split. This is evil. This is evil. We've been demonized. The body, especially the female body, has been demonized. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that really matters is this. This is the only thing that really has any value. So we literally have been conditioned away from what polyvagal theory tells us is 2/3 of our intelligence.
Right.
Because 2/3 of our intelligence is literally in our bodies. We talk about having a gut reaction. That's a real verifiable intelligence, as well as our emotional and other ways of intelligence.
That's a whole nother subject of polyvagal theory, but yes.
That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
And, when I have knowledge of that, but it's not my grounding. My grounding is being with the body without having to think about, oh, this is polyvagal or that's neuroplasticity. That's the underpinnings that Alana discovered later. She heard about all of that long after she developed this work.
Well,
this work came birthed out of her.
Yeah, right.
So I'm looking at the time.
Yeah, was there an experience you wanted to lead us through?
Well,
or what?
First, I want to read something, and then I'd like to take us through an experience.
Okay.
So this is a story I wrote this is an excerpt from a story I wrote that has been published in a magazine called Spirited Voices. And I thought this was hope and inspiration. So I'd like to read this, and it's called The Sacred Cave. We sit cross-legged on the floor of the cave, facing each other. Her eyes are downcast, her shoulders slumped. I sit rooted in my pelvis, grounded and centered. This is a sacred cave where sacrilege is whispered, spoken haltingly, sometimes screamed in rage. The cave is small but not claustrophobic. The walls are bare. There is but faint light from the entrance, even on the brightest of days. The cave is warm. She tells me of the rape when she was barely in grade school. She whispers her guilt and shame for letting her skirt fly up so he could see her underwear. She trembles as she thinks about telling her family now, even 30 plus years later. I hold her as she screams at the memory of the physical pain. I echo her as she screams her rage. You had no right. This is my body, my body. Together, we bury her physical and emotional pain in the floor of the cave. There is so much buried there. We send back the shame and guilt that belongs to the rapist. We send back the shame and blame that her family might have heaped on her had she told. We send it all back. None of it was hers, never was, although she carried it all these decades like a heavy weight on her heart and a cross to bear. We use holy water to soothe and comfort her body. When she is ready, we call forth the young girl with whispers and laughter and song. We welcome her. We settle her back home where she belongs. At last, she is ready to leave the cave, to live her life and to take her rightful place in the world. And so she does.
Beautifully written.
Thank you. And this is a compilation of work that I've done with clients over the years. And it, for me, again, it shows kind of, you were talking about the layers of the onions, like those are all the layers that we go through as we heal deep trauma. It's not one and done. It's not, oh, can I do this in 3 sessions? It's like all these layers. So, what happened in one setting, fictional setting in a cave, is something that happens with a client over time. And that is absolutely possible.
And it does take time.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
And so I offer patience to the people listening. If if there's people listening saying, oh, I've been doing this for so long, when is it ever going to change? It has, and it will.
Yes.
So I'd like to invite our viewers to go through a process of listening to their body.
Very good.
Okay. So first, I invite you, viewer, listener, to allow yourself to settle more into your chair. Allow your eyes to either soften or close if that feels safe to you. Notice your feet on the floor, how you're being supported by your chair. And with your breath, each breath moving a little more into that soft animal body that we are, that you are. And I'm going to ask you to make soft contact with your heart, just to place your hand fully on your heart. No pressure. Yeah, that's it. Nice, full, soft contact. First, notice any physical sensations. And allow your hand to listen, to be aware of, to feel those physical sensations. And now imagine that you have a small ear right in the palm of your hand, which you do. And ask your heart. I'm going to give you some ideas. You ask your heart what is right for you in this moment. You might ask, what is my next step in healing? Or what message do you have for me in this moment, which is more open-ended? Let's do that one. So heart, I'm listening. What message do you have for me in this moment? Perhaps you would like to ask a clarifying question. Now, thanking your heart, knowing that your heart is always here beating 60 to 80 times a minute, every minute of your life. Such gratitude for my heart, for her wisdom and for her keeping me alive. And when you're ready, removing your hand and allowing your eyes to just softly open. And Thusa, would you be willing to share with our audience what you heard? I'm putting you on the spot a bit. We haven't talked about this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, I've been on this journey myself, as you said, for a very long time with healing from my early childhood trauma. And first of all, that was absolutely beautiful. I do encourage the audience members that might not actually be presently live with us at this moment to do this experience, and over and over again, if you'd like to repeatedly listen and be led by Joan, because I'm very aware of her sensitivity and her skills and ability that gets transmitted through her energy in that relationship, in that connection, as we first talked about early on. But yes, that was I am an energy healer, so I could feel a lot of heat and release on a physical, energetic level within myself through my hand. So that's a side.
Yes, lovely.
I also got the not surprising the message of forgiveness. and gentleness and compassion and mercy for myself and others. But, definitely forgiveness came first. And then it was like, be gentle, have that empathy. You have come a long way. And that doesn't mean, I also, this is just added comment that I hear a lot of times in the healing or metaphysical field of, you're still here living because your journey's not done yet, whatever that journey might be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, we talked about layers, but that was the main guidance. I also wanted to reinforce the gratitude at the end is very important to be for me. And I share, hopefully for others, that being grateful and thankful, your heart is beating, it's working all so hard, but it also, it's your life force, but also has that wisdom. All your wisdom is stored, again, in your each individual cell, but your heart is the knower. It knows. And it communicates to all those cells and every part of your body. So I'm sure some other things happened, but that was
that was beautiful.
I always get side effects later. After I'm done,
yeah.
we're finished. I go, oh yeah, that happened too. So it does continue. The process continues to integrate. What I say, integrate and stabilize. The healing continues, even if we just had a short experience like this. So I'm very grateful that you led us through this. It was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we are at the end of our time. So I do want to give you opportunity if there's something important you wanted to say, an announcement or anything. But also definitely share where our audience can find you and find more about you. Besides the link to the free gift, it is in the description. So, the audience can find that easily. But go ahead.
Okay. So you have the link to the free gift, and the free gift is called The Price We Paid for Being Silenced and the Rewards for Speaking Out. And that link will take you to an opt-in page where you put your name and email address, and then the gift will be, the ebook will be sent to you via email. I have to say I don't have a website for myself. I have one for the training program, but people can always reach me at my email address, which is jmbrooks, BROOKS, 1953 at gmail.com. So jmbrooks, 1953 at gmail.com.
Well, I'm just so blessed. I'm so happy that you took this opportunity and said yes, and I feel grateful that I know more about you and that we connected today, and
yes.
In a deeper way. Besides reading your portion of the book, because many of those co-authors really didn't know each other, except for the person who was putting the book together. It's an important read while we were silent, like you had mentioned earlier, for those that are, I think we're led to the proper modalities and therapists,
Agreed.
by our inner wisdom, from our heart, but also on a soul level. So I wish everybody not everybody that's the audience has, healing from, let's say sexual trauma, but I do believe that just this past year, year and a half, however long it is, I think we are all in mass consciousness having trauma. And since it has taken so long, still not over, when we have this chronic continual trauma, it does turn into post-traumatic stress disorder, which is, this book also can help you with that. And reach out to Joan. And thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. And,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been delightful talking with you and having an opportunity to spread hope and inspiration.
Yes, and you did, definitely.
Thank you, Penthusa.
Yeah, and thank you for the healing.
You're welcome.
So take advantage of it. And for the audience, stay safe, well, blessed, happy, and full of love. Thank you for joining us today. Be well. Bye-bye.